Welcome to Abstract Class versus Interface. We'll be looking at the advantages and the disadvantages of an abstract class and of an interface in this lecture. We'll be comparing the abstract class and the interface head to head, and as we know, they have a lot of similar functions, and the way these functions are implemented is very similar. So what we'll be working to do is we'll be working to differentiate between the two and see where each one fits into different particular situations. So let's look at the pros and the cons of each. Let's start off by looking at instance variables. So an interface or interfaces cannot have instance variables. Okay, so it cannot have instance variables. As we know, an interface is very restricted. We only have method declarations in there without the public or private keyword, and that's all we have. On the other hand, abstract classes are a little bit more open and they can have instance variables. Now, one thing that stays the same for both is you can't instantiate either, which means you can't create an object of an interface or you can't create an object of an abstract class. Now, an interface can't implement any methods, which means whatever method headers or method declarations there are in an interface, there can't be any implementations or any code written for any of these methods. On the other hand, with an abstract class, you can implement methods. So as we saw previously, we saw that with an abstract class, although we had an abstract method in which we couldn't implement, we had a lot of regular methods and instance variables and things you would regularly see in a class. Only with abstract methods in abstract classes can you not implement them. And then we also saw two keywords, the extends keyword and the implements keyword. Now the extends keyword is something we typically use with inheritance. It's something we're very familiar with. The same is used when we're working with an abstract class, which is a superclass. And the implements keyword is specific to an interface. So that's something that we haven't seen earlier, and the implements keyword is used when you're working with an interface. Now looking at the two head-to-head, the interface sets a lot of very rigid rules, and basically with an interface, all you have is method declarations and that's it. No implementations. Interfaces are usually really short, and they just set guidelines. So basically, whatever is implementing class of this interface is, it must, I repeat, it must give implementations for all of these methods that are declared in an interface. And that's the same thing an abstract class does, but the difference with an abstract class is, besides having abstract methods that need to be implemented, an abstract class is a lot more flexible. And by that I mean an abstract class can have a constructor, an abstract class can have an instance variable, an abstract class can have methods that are not abstract, and that's why an abstract class is a lot more flexible. So depending on your situation, whether you want flexibility or you want rigid rules with your superclass, that's where you decide whether an abstract class is better or an interface. The important thing to remember is the interface sets rigid rules for method headers and does not allow flexibility with things like instance variables and things like that. However, the abstract class does allow flexibility with that, and lets you work with constructors, instance variables, and non-abstract methods as well.